Let's try one more time, Mary.
Okay, Tony, try again.
Hi, we're 6th graders and we're from Rush City, Minnesota.
Excellent. There we go. Now we got it made. All right. Now we got it made.
So Mallory, can we have you try again then? Come on up.
Hello, we are from Berry Elementary School, Minnesota.
Right?
You have one more?
Sawyer, you want to come up too? All right.
Sawyer, eat that foil. I did not want to do this.
You don't want to do it? Are you sure?
No. Your paper.
Oh, Sawyer did a very nice job last night. I saw
He
it.
was practicing.
Want to give it a try?
No.
Okay.
I'm scared. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
Do you want to pick a friend to try with you?
Weston.
Weston.
Do you want Weston?
Want to just stand up with Sawyer?
Yeah, can Weston
stand up.
stand next to you while you say it, Sawyer?
You can just read it right off of there. You ready?
You can do it, Sawyer.
Yep, just look, Sawyer, look right at me. Sawyer, look right at me. And
Hello, my name is Sawyer Shultz. We are Mrs. Verdon's kindergarten class.
very good. Thank you very much.
Nice job, Sawyer.
Yeah. Okay. You guys also within this piece, I think you've seen me around the building a little bit. I'm the superintendent here at the school district, but I'm also Sawyer's grandpa. That's right. And so today I'm going to be reading a story to you about boys and girls and a grandpa and a special kind of bucket. And I know that most of you know what a bucket is. You can take a look around me here and you see all different kinds of buckets and all different colors of buckets. There's all kinds of buckets around here. And today in the story, there's going to be a very special kind of bucket. So I'd like you to pay attention so that you can learn about the special kind of bucket in our story today. Also, before we got started here, you were doing an excellent job of paying attention and listening and following directions. And I would really appreciate that if you would do that through our story today too. So what I'll be doing is I'll be reading and then I'll be showing you the pictures so that you can see the pictures. And then when we get to the end, I have some questions for you. And then I'll also give you an opportunity to ask some questions of me, either about the story or about the buckets or just about anything you'd like to ask questions about. Okay, we're ready to begin. If you're ready to begin, raise your hand. Nice job, way to go. Our story today is called, How Full is Your Bucket for Kids?
And see.
Felix was putting one of the last blocks on his tower when his little sister came in. I want to build with you, she said. Felix scowled. Go away, you're too little. How many of you in here are boys? How many of you in here are... How many of you in here have a grandpa? Nice job. Nice job of just raising your hand quietly. I appreciate that. I'm big. Stay back. You'll knock it over. I can be very careful. Don't play with your baby toys, Anna. Whack. How many of you have ever built a tower? Raise your hand if you have built a tower and somebody knocked it down. Grandpa! Grandpa shook his head. Felix, you just dipped from your sister's bucket. Like everyone else, Anna has an invisible bucket. When it's empty, she feels bad. But when it's full, she feels great. Didn't you ever notice your own bucket? Invisible bucket. Sometimes Felix couldn't quite tell when his grandfather was joking. But the next morning when Felix woke up, there it was, a small gray bucket floating above his head.
It's still water.
Quietly. When Felix came down to have breakfast, his mom was in a hurry. I've got a meeting this morning. It's almost time to go. Anna, sit still. Raise your hand if it's busy in your house in the mornings before you get ready to come to school. Nice job of doing it quietly. I appreciate that. Felix slipped and cocoa weed scattered across the floor. Felix, yelled his mom. You should have used the stool to reach that. Felix could feel his bucket tip and big invisible drips spill out. Drip, drip. Ha ha, Anna laughed as she crunched the cereal under her shoe. Drip, drip. Get the broom and clean that mess up before you miss the bus, scolded Mom. With the school bus honking, Felix quickly swept up the cocoa weeds and grabbed the last blueberry muffin. But before he could even take one bite, Buster jumped up and grabbed the muffin out of his hand. Drip, drip. Hey, look at Felix's new backpack. My baby brother has one just like it. Drip, drip. Psst. Drip, drip. Watch out, shrimp. Drip, drip. So as Felix gets on the bus and he gets to school, things are happening. There are water drops coming out of his bucket. It was still morning, and Felix's bucket felt almost empty. Take a look at Felix's face when his bucket is almost empty. As he watched his classmates walk into the room, he secretly hoped they would all trip and fall. That's what it's like when you have an empty bucket. Felix slumped into his seat and waited for something else bad to happen. Mrs. Bumblenickel walked slowly up to his desk and handed him a paper. He could barely bear to look. Felix, you wrote a wonderful story. Would you please share it with the class? Felix grinned and felt a big drop land right into his bucket. Drop. Take a look at the grade, if you could see in the back what he got on his test, on his paper. And his teacher asked him to read it to the class.
I see it.
See the change in his face? Drop, drop, drop. The Gigantosaurus who wanted a pet by me, Felix. Class grew quiet, just like you guys are doing right now, which is very, very good. They laughed at all the right places and oohed at the scary parts. When Felix finally read the end, everyone clapped. Even Emily, who sat next to him and didn't usually like dinosaurs. Felix felt a whole shower of drops land in his bucket. Maybe the day wouldn't be so bad after all. I'm going to show you this picture again because I think it's worthy of looking at twice. See how much happier he is? All the drops going into his bucket.
Bucket has food.
In his lunch, there was a note with a heart from Mom. Out on the playground, team captains today are Veronica and Felix. Drop, drop. In art, nice cow. Felix, it's a dog. Well, nice colors anyway, Felix. And one of his friends, cool laser ant backpack, Felix. Drop, drop, drop. By afternoon, Felix's bucket was nearly full. At recess, when he looked around, Felix suddenly realized that his grandpa was right. Everyone else had a bucket too.
I put that thing on my head.
Drop, drop, in the hallway, as Felix is picking up some papers. Let me help you, sir. Out on the playground. Here's your baseball. Thanks, dude. Drop, drop. On a park bench. Hi, I'm Felix. First day at school? Yes, I'm Amir. The strange thing was that for every drop he helped put in someone else's bucket, he felt another drop in his own bucket. Drop, drop, drop. When Felix burst in the door after school, he shouted, "You were right, Grandpa. I do have a bucket. I understand how it works." Then he saw Anna's torn doll. "Bad dog," he almost scolded. But then he thought, dogs might have an invisible bucket too. "Your doll will be okay, Anna," said Felix. "Mom will fix her. Until then, you want to help me build the tallest building in the world with my blocks." You guys are doing a great job. And so they did.
Mr. Schultz, I can't see because
There's going to be people in front of you, especially if you're in the back. Thank you for being such good listeners today, boys and girls. I really appreciate it. I have time for a few questions. Okay. You talk to your teacher. I have a few questions I'm going to ask in these various buckets. As you can see, the buckets around here are large and small. They're different colors. So I'm going to pick up the first bucket and I'm going to take a look and see what question we have in this bucket. And this one says, other times being a bucket filler can be a tough job. It's kind of tough to sometimes fill other people's buckets, especially when you're not happy with them. What are some jobs grown-ups have that make them a bucket filler? What are some jobs that adults have that make them a bucket filler? Yes.
Sometimes teachers put some beads in like this little bin, and that's how teachers fill it sometimes.
Sometimes teachers fill buckets with beads instead of with water. But what we're talking about today is that imaginary bucket. I don't have a bucket over my head that you can see that's floating around, right? But I can put something in your bucket, and you know how I can do that? How does it make you feel if I say, "My goodness, your hair looks really nice today"? Oh, I see you smile a little bit there. I can tell that that makes you feel good, doesn't it? "Oh, you know what? I really like your vest this morning. That looks wonderful. You know, I see that you got a new haircut. That is just fantastic." Doesn't that make you feel better? But if I were to say to you, "Gosh, it looks like you just got out of bed this morning. What's wrong with your hair?" That would take something out of your bucket. Or if I said, "Oh my goodness, that vest, I don't like that color. I really don't like purple at all."
why are you wearing it?
Oh, that's a good question. Or, "My goodness, you haven't had a haircut in a long time. is there something wrong? That doesn't make you feel very good, does it? That's what we're talking about with that imaginary bucket. That you can be a bucket filler and you can put things in other people's buckets, but when you do, you also put things in your own bucket. Okay? I have some time for some questions. So if you have questions of me, I'd be more than happy to answer those. So how about you in the blue back there?
Something what teachers can do, they can plan something for fun tomorrow.
That's right. Teachers can fill your bucket because they can even talk about some things you're going to do tomorrow that are fun. What kind of things do you like to do? Yeah, you can play with your brother and sister. I bet you can even do that today when you get home. Questions? Yes.
Everything that I like to do.
Everything. Yes, everything. There's things that some people like to do, and they might be different than what other people like to do. Yes.
I like to do skating.
You like to go skating? So when you get to go skating, if I were to say to you, today after school, we're going to go skating. I bet you that would make you feel wonderful, wouldn't it? If you like something you like to do. Yes, in the back.
Where did you get all the buckets?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Where did you get all the buckets?
Where did I get all the buckets? Well, I have some friends that donated those buckets for me to use just for this morning so that I could show you the different sizes and types. What are some things that you like to? In the story, we talked about putting drips of water in the bucket. And if I had a bucket like this, the reason that they used water in the story, I think, is because we all need water every day. And buckets are used to carry water. But what is something that you might want to put in your bucket? What is something you would want to put in your bucket in the back?
Candy.
Candy, sure. How many of you go out at Halloween and you use either a bag or you use a bucket and you get things in there? And when you come back at the end of Halloween and your bucket is this full or this full or this full, and there's candy in there, you probably feel pretty good, don't you? What are some other things you could put in your bucket? Yes.
You could put sand.
Sand, sure. A lot of people use sand buckets when they go to the beach or when they go to the lake. They put sand in their buckets and they make stuff with it. Right? Okay, I have time for, I'm going to do one more bucket. I'm going to pull up one. Sawyer, since you were looking in that bucket, why don't you hand me that yellow bucket there? And we'll read the question in this one. Sometimes being a bucket filler can be easy, simply by saying please and thank you. How many of you have good manners and say please and thank you? That can also be a bucket filler. That's one very simple way. It doesn't cost anything, and you can do it every day, either with your friends or with the adults that are around you. I also have one more thing I'm going to ask, and I'm going to ask the teachers this question. If you'd like, or would you like, to do a pen pal activity with each of the other classes. So here's an opportunity that you could interact here locally as well as with the class in Rush City. And you could be bucket fillers beyond your classroom to the next classrooms and even to another community. So if teachers would like to do that, just let me know afterwards, and we'll try and help you set that up so that we can get that going between your classes locally as well as a class in Rush City. And then you guys can help fill buckets in Rush City, and Rush City can help fill buckets in Mora. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay. That's as much time as I have today. I understand we have some exciting things happening after this, and so I'm going to turn it back over to your teachers.
Boys and girls, can we say thank you to Mr. Shultz for coming in and reading to us?
Thank you, boys and girls, for being such good listeners and allowing me to share the story with you today.
And thank you from Rush City, too.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
We would love to do pen pals.
Okay, super.
Oh yeah, and actually.
Let's see if they can get your group on this TV. It went
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, Mrs. Paul.
Yeah, we're absolutely. For whatever reason.
All right, Mrs. Bernard, please stand up.
Dropped out of the video call. Mary, awesome. Thank you very much. We'll get you teachers connected together.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. What do you guys say?
Welcome, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, Mary.
That roll for just a few minutes. Technology. Wonderful stuff. Good job. We'll